Hey yogis, today I'd like you to start with 2 blocks and we're going to set them up for a version of supported fish. If you don't have blocks, please feel free to use up a rolled up blanket, a towel, something that kind of gives you that opportunity for a bit of leverage in your chest. So when I set up for supported fish, it often looks something like this. This is generally my most comfortable organization, but it can also, if you're not sure, it might look like this. So one block goes to the space between the shoulder blades, the other block goes to the space behind your head, and of course you can set the heights in variant levels. Some people like that block between their shoulder blades to be in an up and down variation. Perfect, whatever works. But please don't have the blocks pushing up into your neck. Give them some space so that the top edges of the shoulders can roll back and down the side of the back side of the body a bit more. Okay, lower back is free from any obstacles, and outside of that, it should feel really comfortable. So as we come down onto our back, shoulders roll down the backside, eyes at the elbows, turn upwards, maybe palms towards the sky. And you can always press into the back of the head to lift and then reset that upper back space. And then the legs can go wherever it is that feels best for you. Today I'm going to suggest soles of the feet together, let the knees open up a bit wider. And just take a moment and see where you want to place your arms. I want you to encourage the idea of external rotation of the shoulders. So I want to try not to be here with the shoulders pulling up and towards my chest, but really trying to loop them down the back side of my body. As you close your eyes, start to listen and feel for the way that the breath is moving in your body. Inviting it to move in and out through your nose. Inviting it to fill through the abdomen, across your ribs, into the space along your chest. And as you breathe out, there's a softening into the supports beneath you. You breathe in to create space, light, radiance. You breathe out to soften, to surrender, to release. Regardless of what your practice looks like, balance in life comes from the ability to expand and in the ability to release. Consider setting an intention for your practice today that reminds you to ebb and flow the light and the volume and the radiance of your breath. Reach your arms up and over if you can. Bend your elbows, catch opposite elbows with fingers. Create a little space around the blocks if you can. And then take a full and deep breath in. Try to widen out the spaces through your ribs. And exhale to let go of the arms. Release them back down to the ground. And soles of the feet return to the earth, and we'll shift our bodies off to one side. Remove the blocks or the props that might be behind you, and then come to rest on your back for a moment. And just notice how it feels. Notice the way that you've arrived. Bring your hands down by your sides. Soles of the feet to the ground, knees are bent. This is really subtle. I want you to think about that space in your lower back and notice it. How far away from the earth is it at the moment? How much pressure might it have against the ground? And then just with this idea of paying attention to the natural space in our lower spine, can we then amplify it? So it's the sit bones move towards the backs of the shoulders, and that lower back creates a bigger arch. Then as you exhale and the navel moves in towards the spine, the lower back flattens against the floor, and you might feel the lower belly activate, and I want you to find that, but no squeezing of your glutes. So we arch through the lower back, just letting it become a bit more buoyant. And then we pull it back towards the earth. So there's that expansion, breathing in, the arch gets bigger. And that contraction, the arch pushes itself into the mat, the lower belly activates, the buttock stays fairly relaxed. 2 more times. Your anterior tilt is the arch. Your posterior tilt is the flattening out of that lower back. 1 more time. Can you take that arch away? Hold there. So in that posterior tilt, ribs and hips might feel like they've snuggled closer together. Kind of feel for that in your own body. And then peel your tailbone up off the floor, and it doesn't have to be big. And then we're going to peel that tailbone back down towards the ground slowly. And as it hits the floor, you're going to arch that lower back. So sit bones towards your shoulder blades. Good. Take the arch away, flatten out the lower back, begin to peel your hips up off the floor. A little bit more, the lower back lifts. And then roll it back down. Try not to go fast. Arch through your spine, so your anterior tilt. Posterior tilt, take it away and begin to lift and peel the hips away from the floor. A little bit higher each time. Controlling from the front line as you come down. Scoop it up. And then lift. When your breath says yes, lift. Come on back down, slow and controlled, finding all the movement in your body. 1 more time, press up. You're going to hold it up. Feet ground into the ground. Pull back on your heels a little bit. Hips and ribs come a little bit closer together, and then right shoulder, left shoulder a little bit further under your body, and then find a bit more pressure in your triceps. Neck stays free, lower back is not the primary mover, and then can you activate your hamstrings a bit? 1 more breath and bridge. Peel it down, slow, really slow, all the way back towards the floor. Knees stay bent. Good. And then get light in your heels. So a little tiny lift in your heels. Ribs and hips come together. So there's your posterior tilt. Lower back pushes down into the floor. I want you to keep that to the greatest degree you can and see, is there any area in the back channel of your spine that feels lighter than the others? That's the area I want you to think about drilling into the floor a bit more. There's this sense that the tailbone is trying to rise up towards the ceiling and that ribcage is trying to pull down more. And then arms are reaching out towards the side, but let's try not to use them. So if you tend to push it with your hands, let's lift the hands up. And then right foot takes a little lift, nothing else changes. Right foot down. Left foot a little lift. Left foot down. Both feet a little bit of a lift, hold there. Easier is to take the legs higher. I want you to get as much lift as you need, but then drill that lower back into the floor more. Good. Try to keep finding that sense the front line is contributing to the health and the well-being of that lower back, that they're working together. So I'm pressing the lower back into the floor for this through the strength of my abdomen. Okay. And then right leg straight-ish. Left foot can always touch the ground. Bring your right leg in. Right foot can always touch the ground. Left leg straight. Left leg back in. Good. Try it again. Now notice how one knee probably wants to come in closer to your chest. If you can help it, don't let it do that. Keep it lower to the ground. You're trying to work with a little bit more strength and control from that abdomen. Don't worry about the height. It can be super small. 1 more time. Good. Knees to your chest. Shift your hips towards the left. Drop your knees towards the right, and then open up that left arm. See how it might feel to turn your gaze over your left shoulder and breathe into the left side of your ribs. And take it back to center. Little shift. Knees drop. Right arm reaches. Often we leave our heels way back here, and then there's not as much access to the twist. So think about bringing your knees more in line with your rib cage, moving your heels more in line with your knees, so there's a bit more emphasis on that twist being from the middle of your rib cage. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a bit more emphasis. And one more breath. And we'll take that right arm, bring it all the way over to the left, and we'll turn onto our bellies. So shift your weight around. Palms flat, forehead towards the ground, root the tops of your feet down, push a little more through your pubic bone, lower back, get some more space. And as you inhale to lift your heart, do a little less with your hands. Think about pulling the hands back. As you exhale, soften your chest towards the floor. Feet down, pubic bone heavy, lower back remains spacious, lift your heart. Exhale and soften your heart back down. Good. Again, breathe in, roll up. Exhale and lower. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, a bit more weight in your hands if you like. Roll it up and roll it down. Once more, spider your fingertips to the ground if you like. Roll up, down. Child's pose, knees wide. So it's not as much rounding through the lower back. It's a bit more neutral. Think about stretching the arms out and overhead, rooting down through your fingers. Give your body a bit of a sway from right to left if that feels good for you. In some of these shapes, I won't do them with you. So if you're more visual, try to just trust my words. Certain shapes are harder to talk through while doing them. So for now, emphasize that breath moving through your rib cage. Try to feel the belly filled and the ribs and then the heart. And feel that container drawing back in towards each other. Good. Let's roll forward like a wave, coming to tabletop. Walk your hands just a little bit further than they would be for a traditional table. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows and try to tap your chest towards the floor. Leave your buttocks up high. And then we're pressing back through the floor and shifting back towards our heels. Okay, so you're going to inhale and start to roll your spine forward. Lift your chest through. Exhale, bend your elbows, tap towards the floor. Press yourself back up. Child's pose, let's tuck our toes under. Inhale, roll. Exhale, tap. Shift back and then roll again. Bend your elbows. Shift back, but try to hover the knees up off the floor. Roll like a wave, come forward into plank. Exhale, drop your knees, bend your elbows, tap your chest towards the floor. Pull your chest through the gate of your arms, rolling the shoulders back and lifting your heart. Exhale, hover the knees as you press back, child's pose. Inhale, roll. Exhale, drop. Pull through, breathe in. Downward facing dog, breathing out. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Breathe through. Downward facing dog, breathing out. Roll forward. Down dog, roll back. Roll forward. Hovering child's pose-ish as you go into that down dog. One more time, roll. Pull back. Breathe and lift your heels up high. Exhale, heels down low. Pressing the energy of the hands forward, hug your triceps in. Have that heaviness in your heels without them needing to touch the floor. Sides of the ribs get long. Upper back has some space. Right leg goes high to the sky, inhale. Right foot steps forward, exhale. Dropping the left knee down, breathe in, reach your arms up. Catch a hold of that left elbow and then lean to the right. Sit up a little bit more. Lean to the right. Inhale and exhale. Pause right there. Find that little bit of a lean back into that left arm, a squeeze of your left buttocks, and then lift your chin up slightly if you can. Right hand comes down towards the floor. It can touch. You can lean into that right leg a little bit more. Stretch that left arm over. Find your block if you prefer. I'm going to take that left arm, reach it in front, and then turn towards the back edge of my space, bending my left knee. Then rise up and face the front of your mat, warrior two, bending your right knee, sinking down into your hips. As you breathe in, let's exalt your warrior. Take that right arm up and over. And as you exhale, cartwheel, left hand down towards the floor and right arm up towards the sky, that open twist. Shoulders hug back, heart opens up, and find that length in your spine. You're going to drop that left knee down, flip the foot off, and then as the right leg comes back, reach it behind you and see if you can take a bind. Now, if it's not there, don't worry about it. You don't have to catch the foot. If you caught the foot, can you push the foot into the right hand and start to open up through your upper back? Think about then squeezing your right buttocks and pressing your right hip forward. So the balance happens from my hip extension and then my thoracic spine gets engaged. One more breath. Good. You're going to release the right arm and right leg. I'm going to take that right knee behind my left. And then I'm going to wrap my left thigh over my right and sit down. So eagle pose, I'm just off my mat. Hopefully you are too. It doesn't matter. Let's let the mat go. Wrap left arm over right. Grab for opposite shoulders, forearms or fingers, and close your eyes. Sit up tall in your spine. If your legs don't wrap in eagle, so one on top of the other, let eagle go. And then we're just going to move. I want you to think about moving your upper back. Circling it around, letting the elbows go. I'm just going to turn to face you. Okay. Can you shift and circle? Can it feel like it's happening almost from your shoulder blades? The arms are optional. The movement is not reverse directions. Just little swirls, thinking about your rib cage shifting. The upper back might round and pull forward as the shoulders squeeze together. I want you to feel that kind of creatively happening in your body. Close your eyes. There is no one to see you. Enjoy that. Good. Reach your arms up towards the sky. Take a nice big breath in. Let's take that left hand down. Right arm circles across your body and then untangle your legs. Step your left leg under your right. Your right leg under your left. So you did a little cross-legged action. And then take your left leg up towards the sky. Left knee in towards your nose, round roll and shift your weight forward. Left leg hooks on top of right thigh. Bend your right knee a little bit and press back into that down dog with figure four. So I'm pressing my hands forward and pushing my left knee out to the side. I want to feel that in a little bit of a stretch from my outer left hip. Now, can you keep this shape? You roll forward and take the shape towards your forearms and then press it back. And then shift it forward and shift it back. Now, one more time, that left shin comes forward, drop that left leg down. Walk your right leg back and find the knee on the floor. You don't have to get your left hip all the way down. I want you to lift your heart. So you're in that version of pigeon, but we're sitting maybe a little bit higher. Press down through your left ankle so there's a bit more control and strength in your left hip. Now pull your chest through as if you're dragging your hands back and think about broadening your collarbones. Left hip back, right hip forward. Outer edge of your left hip has a bit more weight, a bit more stretch, but I also want to push down through that left shin so it's a bit more active. One more breath. Hands down, right toe tucks under, walk it in a tiny bit. Left leg goes up and back. Three-legged dog, bend your left knee and open your hip. Lift up high on your right heel, tap your left foot behind your right leg. And then right leg stays straight. You press into the left toes and reach that left arm above your head. Energize through your left hip. Press down through your right baby toe edge of that foot. Left leg goes all the way back, three-legged dog. Left leg steps forward. Right knee drops down. Low lunge, reach your arms up. Grab a hold of your right elbow. And take a breath in. Lean left. Little lift. Lean. Little lift. Lean. Pause. Hold. Think about squeezing through your right glute. Think about lifting your belly button up towards your ribs, but not flaring your rib cage forward. And then see if that gives you a bit more. Your head leans back slightly, your chin away from your chest a bit, breathing into the right side body. Good. And then keep the arms, sink a little bit deeper into your hips, bring your left fingertips to the floor or a block, or just keep them on your left thigh. Find a little bit more there, and then can you reach that right arm above your head? Good. Right arm travels across the body, and then right knee hovers as you pull yourself around. Reach up and over, warrior two, face the front of your mat. As you inhale, let's exalt, take that left arm up and over. And as you exhale, cartwheel, right hand down towards the floor, left arm up towards the sky, that open twist. Dropping the right knee down to the floor, I flick the foot off to the side. The left leg goes back, and I might catch it with my left hand. I'm pressing my pelvis towards the camera, so hip pushes forward by the strength of my glute. And then I'm going to lean my chest back as I kick the foot and the hand together, squeeze the shoulders off or up through the heart. This doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just a moment to clear some space in your spine. Now, as I let go of my left foot, I want to reset my core. Bring the left knee behind my right, flick my ankles out, and have a seat. Hips grounded, any kind of cross-legged variation that you like. Right arm reaches over left, grab for opposite shoulders, forearms, or fingers. And then think about creating circles with your rib cage. Move some stuff. And so it isolates a bit of what your lower back is going to do. That's its goal. Change directions. Play with elbows higher. You don't have to have your arms bound. Just close your eyes and move. Once more. Pause at center. Left hand comes down, right arm comes up. Good. And then can we bring, oh, I lied. Can we bring it up and around? Downward facing dog, but that left leg spirals under our right this time, or vice versa if you did the other way. So you can open up a little bit more crisscross. Try to get the big toe mounds of your feet down and just see how that feels. Now that left foot resets itself, right leg goes up. Right knee towards your nose, round roll and shift forward. Right leg hooks over left thigh, pull back into that down dog, little bit of a knee bend in that left leg. Stretches in the outer edge of that right hip. As my hands push forward, my hips pull back. I'm trying to keep the shape that I'm creating with my right leg. As I come forward, I want to try to connect to my forearms. And then press back. And come forward and press back. And then one more time, come forward with that shape. Drop your right shin down, toe heel that left foot back. As I come down into the outer edge of my right hip, I want to feel that I'm both in strength and stretch. So not dumping into my pelvis, I'm actually buoyant. As I put a little bit more weight into my right ankle, I want to feel that radiate up my right shin. That left leg can do whatever it wants to do, but I want you to roll your shoulders back and lift up through your heart. And then think, pull right hip back and left thigh forward. And as you get a little more comfortable, a little stronger in the shape, press a bit harder through that idea of your right ankle, right shin bone. Can we find a little bit more opportunity to intentionally create a back bend from the upper spine a bit more? One more here. Hands down. Walk that left knee in once or twice. Send your right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Bend the right knee, open up your hip, and if you choose to, go ahead and flip it. So right toes hit the floor, left leg is straight, right leg stays bent. Lifting your hips up, reach up through your heart. Find that energy in that hip. Find the energy in your upper back. Right hand circles down, follow it, and then knees towards the ground, sit back towards your heels. Close your eyes. Roll the shoulders back, lift up through your heart. And so let's sit up. Think about, once again, establishing the same kind of awareness we did at the very beginning. So I want to feel this lower back space and then connect front line towards ribs. So hips towards ribs, the lower back gets a little more spacious, as if it was trying to push heavier into the floor. I really want to keep that. So hips and ribs, I'm going to squeeze my buttocks. I'm not trying to make that really fierce, just enough for me to feel engaged. And the arms are going to reach forward. And I just want you to lean back. You keep your core engaged. So notice if that booty wants to pop back and the ribs want to pull forward. That's what you're trying to prevent. And then pull yourself up. And then lean back, press into the tops of the feet, container of your core, and pull up. Good. Now maybe arms go up. And then lift. Maybe bend your elbows, pull and squeeze in the upper back, and then rise. Good. Pull and squeeze. And lift. And one more time, pull, squeeze, and hold. Bring your hands towards your lower back. Press the pelvis a little bit further. Now lift your chest away from your hands a bit. Think about creating more length in your back. Squeeze the elbows towards one another. Find that lift of your heart space upwards. And then if you've got some room, lean back a little bit. Okay. Core is engaged. There's some ability to control that back bend from the abdominals. Shoulders back, chest up, finding space. Come back up, hands onto your thighs, hips towards your heels, close your eyes. So when we're going to build our back bends, when we're starting to play with some of these shapes, if you notice that your lower back is hurting, it means you're breaking from that lower back space. I use the word breaking, hopefully nothing's actually breaking. But it just means there's a spot that wants to do the work for you because it'll make it look like you're doing it. I want you to think about creating length. And then when you exhale, that you keep a sense of that buoyancy, even if you're creating more of that back bend. So the upper back gets involved, the hips get involved, and the lower back goes for the ride versus trying to drive the car. So don't worry about big. Make it feel functional and safe and wonderful in your body. Downward facing dog. Pedal out the legs. Create a little bit of movement. And then same kind of shapes that we've created before. Find a little more heaviness in your heels. Think about lifting up through your tailbone, but supporting that lift from your lower belly so there's not that big drop in your ribs. Big toes can come together if that feels more secure. Right leg goes high to the sky. Right foot steps forward, left knee drops down. Take a breath in, reach up, grab your left elbow. And as you exhale, lean to the right. Peel yourself up a little higher. Right hand comes down, sink a little bit deeper into that right leg. Swing that left arm forward. Carry yourself around towards this idea of Skandasana. Come all the way up and around Warrior Two. Now inhale, I want you to shift back to your right leg and reach that right arm. Load up that left leg and bring your right leg up and over your left. Crossing at your thighs, can you sit your bum down? We'll take left arm over right. Grab for opposite shoulders, forearms, or fingers, so you're an eagle. Now think about dropping your tail, lifting up through your ribs a bit more. Then sinking in deeper by bending your knees, not by leaning your chest forward. Find a bit of space in your upper back. Notice it. Take some of that space away. So there is a difference between how we might want to do these shapes. I just want you to feel for them for now. So figure out where you get nice and active in your legs. Sink in, pressing or squeezing the thighs towards each other, but they're also resisting one another. Okay, let's untangle that right leg. Hands come down, chest comes down, standing splits, reach your right toes high towards the sky. Bend the right knee, reach back with that left hand and see if you want to take a bind. If you found the bind, kick that right foot against that left arm, straighten out the right arm, lift up a little bit through your heart. I want to stay in control of whatever shape I'm exploring. You're going to bend that left knee, release your right foot. Warrior two, rise up. Now take that left arm, swing it around and pivot up onto the ball of your left foot. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky, high lunge. Exhale, one time, bend your left knee. So we sink a little bit deeper and then press the idea of your left heel towards the floor. Keep a sense of space, lift out of your right hip socket, and then exhale and maybe lean back a little bit. Bend your elbows if you want a little less work there. So I'm going to squeeze my elbows back, pull my chest through, activate through the upper spine, sink a little bit more by pressing my right knee forward and still heavy in my left heel. Find space, lift up, maybe lean back, and again, arms straight is a little bit more work. Good, reach your chest forward, push your hands back, lean, and then come to stand into warrior three, standing on that right leg, left toes lift. Good, let's bring it all the way up towards standing, bring your left knee in towards your chest. Then left hand, left foot finding each other behind your body. Pushing the hips forward like we did in the hip hinge, hips and ribs squeeze together. Right arm reaches up. And then I'm going to lead. I'm going to send that left leg back, press hand and foot. I like to soften my right knee. And then as the leg lifts, I want to keep that lift happening from the hip and from my upper back. Whatever version that is for you. Can you soften? Bend that right knee. Bring your right hand to your heart. Release your left leg. Step it back. Drop the knee. Breathe in. Reach your arms up. And we twist. Left elbow, right thigh. Palms together. Heart rolls up. Shoulder slides down the back line. Left side body gets longer. Can we have a sense of buoyancy within our space? Good. Hands come down, Skandasana, but you're going to turn all the way to the back edge of your space. Drop your right knee down, reach your left arm up. Bend your back leg, reach back, take a bind. So left hand might find right foot. And instead of sinking into this one, I want you to pull back. I want you to try to bring your right heel right into your buttocks. Then we squeeze the bum, come up onto the right fingertips if you like. Maybe come up a little bit higher. Hip and ribs squeeze together. Right hand might come back to join the left. Pat up that right knee. Don't bother going this far if it's not for you today. Slowly and gently come forward with your chest. Bring your right hand down, releasing your foot. Turn it around towards the center of your mat, toes in, heels out. Find your breath in, hearts open a little higher. As you exhale, drop your chest towards your thighs, relax your neck. And then we can shift a little right to left, but I'm going to keep my legs straight. And I just want to feel how those legs are moving. That idea or that sense that my tailbone is rising and my shoulders are softening. Breathe in, hearts open. Turn back towards the front edge of your space. Step it back, three-legged dog, right leg goes high. Bending the right knee, open up through your hip. Flip your dog if that's your flip of choice. Lifting your hips, breathing in big into your body. And as you come down, hands and legs slowly find their way. Downward facing dog. Take a breath in, roll forward like a wave. And then exhale, lower knees, chest, chin. Pull yourself through the gate of your arms, roll your shoulders back. Downward facing dog, hips pull you up and back. Left leg goes high to the sky, breathe it in. Left leg steps forward, breathing out. Right knee drops down, inhale, rise up, catch that right elbow. And exhale, lean to the left. Take a breath in, sink a little bit deeper. Right arm carries you across your body towards that right leg. Rise up, warrior two, left foot is forward. Then right arm can pull you around, bend your right knee and shift. Into that high skater, can you lift your left leg? Bring it up and around to cross over that right thigh. So as we come into eagle, I don't need to cross my toes under, but hips and ribs come together, squeeze your thighs. Sink deeper, right arm over left. And see if you can find your choice with your upper back. But today, in my preference, would be that you squeeze your shoulders in towards each other a bit more. So it's a little bit more contraction in the upper back. And you squeeze the thighs, sink a little bit deeper. One more breath. And then as you fold forward, that left leg untangles, the hands come down towards the floor, standing splits. Right leg pushes down, left toes rise up. Right hand might reach back, find the top of your left foot. You press that left knee up and you open up through your chest a little bit. So think about even looking forward and rising a little. But you do you. I want you to feel that your front of your left hip is open and your right leg's receiving some affection. Then as we let go of this, I want to stay in control of the shape. So I'm going to bend that right knee, step that left foot forward, and rise up, warrior two. Taking the right arm across my body, pivot up into the sole of my right foot, or the ball of my right foot. Arms reach up, bend your right knee. Keep that depth. As your right heel begins to press back towards the floor, I want to feel like my lower back isn't doing all of the work. So hips and ribs, reach up, find your depth, but play with your strength. Bend your elbows, press the elbows back, tip your forearms back, squeeze your chest. And then can you find that play of sinking into the shape while maintaining space? Maybe the arms go back. Find your power. Find strength within the stretch. Good. Lean forward, gather up your core, push those hands back as you load up your left leg, warrior three. I'm pressing down through my left foot, I'm pulling my left hip back, hugging my right thigh in slightly. Then come all the way up towards standing, take your right knee into your chest. Right leg comes back to meet your right hand. Finding the two together, think of that moment of pressing my right hip forward or lengthening my tailbone down towards the floor. As I push back, I want to lift up through my heart. I want to mimic those two shapes moving together. So upper back engagement with my hip. So as I lean and express the version of the shape that I want to express today, it just needs to feel right. Not one spot is doing all of the work. Lots of spots are doing lots of work. Now without slingshotting the leg, slowly and gently, bring that right foot all the way down. Toes hit the floor, breathe in, dropping that right knee down. Exhale, take your twist, right elbow, left thigh. Pressing the palms together, radiating the heart up. Think about turning your chest up towards the ceiling more, but leading from the underpinning of your right side ribs. That left shoulder is rolled back. We untangle the body and we turn all the way to the back edge of our space. Turn it around, dropping your left knee down, reaching your right arm up. Reaching back with that right hand, see if you can find the top of your left foot, bringing that left heel in towards your buttocks. Looping the tailbone under, pulling the belly button up. Option just to stay. Option two is that I want to come up a little bit higher so I can see how it feels to pop up into my left fingertips, or to bring my left hand onto my right leg. Or both hands can go back, or left hand can go back and right hand can balance me out. But most importantly, I'm not spilling my belly forward. I want to squeeze my left bum cheek. And I want to think about pulling my heart up, squeezing my shoulders back. Can you find that? More than that left leg is getting passive, it's becoming more active. One more breath. We slowly and gently lean into that right leg a little more. Take that left hand down. Release your left foot down, and then Skandasana, we'll just do that for 3. Move from side to side. And 2. And then all the way back towards the front edge of your space. Left leg goes up and back, 3-legged dog. Bending the left knee, opening up the hip, flipping your dog. Lifting your heart up, opening up through your chest, finding the power in your hips. What works for your body today? As you gather up your core, take your time. Feel free to come through, take a vinyasa. So moving with your breath, any way, shape, or form. We're coming back to sit in hero's pose. You find your flow. And then we come together. And we sit back towards our heels, or we sit back on our block. Hands on thighs, close your eyes. Be integrated in your body as you are in your breath. Lift your hips. Hands reach back behind you. Option 1, you can sit right back here. You can bring your hands onto your lower back, squeeze your elbows, and find a little bit of play. But remember, I don't want to lead just from that lower back. So I squeeze, pull the shoulders back, and then amplify. If we're here, you can tuck your toes under, which makes the heels a bit more accessible. If you want to go into fuller versions of camel, please feel free. Today, this is all I'm going to focus on, is just a little more of a traditional one. Hips towards ribs, hands back behind you. I like fingers up. And then I'm going to pull my chest away from my hands. I want to lead with my pelvis and then lean back a bit. And then lift my chest away from my fingertips, maybe lean back a bit more. If that feels good, I take my hands back to find my ankles, okay? Tops of the feet if you prefer. But I want to almost imagine there was a gust of wind that came up behind my shoulder blades and pulled my heart through. You do your breath way before you worry about the volume of the shape. Feel your body as you inhale getting longer. And as you exhale, can you think of that space between your shoulder blades, finding more lift? Assist with your hands on your lower back if that feels more appropriate for you. If you're newer to practice, I encourage that. And then sit back towards your heels, bring your hands on your thighs, close your eyes. If you don't like to close your eyes, drop your gaze for a moment, become a little less seen, a little more internal awareness. Let's shift our hips off to the side, bring the legs towards the front edge of your space, hips towards heels. So I want to give you 2 options for this last. There's 2 more shapes, but in this last one, I want you to have an option. So option 1, for those of you that are quite comfortable sitting hips towards heels, you can always come into more of a hero's pose. So I like to spin my heels out just a little bit outside of my hips. And then when I come back, it looks like this. For me, this is actually not quite as much stretch as it might be if I did a half variation, because I can pull that other leg in, okay? So feel free to take that one if you know what I'm talking about and that works for you. Otherwise, I'm taking my block. I'm going to come down onto my back and I'm going to lift my hips. I'm going to take a slightly higher setting if I think I'm going to come into more of a hero shape. So just bear with me. Option 1, hips are elevated, left leg forward, and that's it. I'm getting length through the front of my left hip, and that's fine. I would suggest internally rotating a little bit, so thinking about squeezing the big toe inwards, just to find a bit more of that versus that flopping external. Okay. Option 2 is I'm going to take my left hand back from the top of my foot. We've done a few of these shapes. Here's where it gets tricky, is that there's way more ankle requirement in this one. So I've got a back bend, I've got hip flexors, I've got ankle stuff, I've got some knee stuff if you're a little funky with your knees. So this is a big shape. When you're coming into this, what tends to happen is people do this like knee goes out to the side or the top of the foot gets stuck and the knee stays high. The idea is to get your knee lower than your hip bone. And when I take the top of my foot over, the knee wants to fling out. I like it more if I squeeze it in. It's more interesting in my body. Choose wisely. Do not feel what you might consider pain in your knee. That's a no-go. And the lower back shouldn't feel like it's doing all the work. So for those of you that have a bit more play, you're thinking about scooching that left shin or foot closer to your left side ribs. And you're thinking about drawing the idea of your left knee towards the floor a bit more. Or you're drawing your right knee in towards your chest. And you're going to notice that left leg wants to wing out. It almost always does. You're just encouraging it to kind of squeeze in slightly. So we'll say about 3 more breaths on this side. If you're doing the full variation of the shape, so you're doing it without the block, when we flip over to the other side, since if you're doing both sides at one time, I would suggest that you just take a break, take a moment, try not to draw your knees into your chest. Right foot comes down if the right leg came in. Left foot untangles if the left foot went back. Let's switch. So we're trying not to really let this rib cage take that big old back bend. I think rib cage slightly heavier, especially if you're on the more mobile side. It's much easier to cheat. Squeezing the idea of that right knee in, figuring out how far up that right foot can come in relation to your rib cage. Staying if staying makes the most sense for you today, and one side might be substantially tighter than the other. Left knee can come in if you did that on the other side. The back bend feels evenly distributed across your spine. Whatever volume that is, I'm not asking to correct it, just notice it. And are there things that could give you a bit more sense of extension through the top of your right leg, which is your primary focus at the moment? And one more breath. And then we untangle the body, bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Lift your hips, squeeze and lengthen out your tailbone. Remove the block if it's there. Roll your spine back to the floor. Now don't draw the knees into the chest. Walk your feet out a little wider. Let your knees fall inward. So internal rotation at your hips for a moment. And then just try to settle into the breath. One more big shape before we call it quits. If this felt like where you want to end your practice, twist, twist, little happy baby, and you're done. Otherwise, we're going to go for wheel. You're going to come along to the version that feels most appropriate for you. You can always take a second round of bridge and make bridge more interesting. So soles of the feet walk in about hip distance apart. There's this idea that you have awareness of your thighs, so maybe a bit more hugging energy of your thigh bones. Hands come back. Most people are going to feel a bit more comfortable with fingers facing shoulders. You can absolutely try it this way if you've done wheel before. This is usually where people feel like they get the most control. The forearms are close to my ears, and I'm going to try to press my elbows towards where the top of my head. Okay? So I'm active in my arms, and then I'm going to lengthen up my tailbone, lift my hips, find pressure in my feet. This might be really hard for me to do and talk, especially with the earbuds, but we'll see how it goes. Put the weight into my hands. I'm old school, so I usually come up into the top of my head really, really lightly, and then I press up. And then if you press up, maybe you walk your legs in and you start to find that lift or that press of your chest through the gate of your arms. Your legs can do whatever makes sense, but try to find that space. But above all else, find the space. You have to be able to find lightness in the shape. Okay? So figure out how big your breath and your body want to go. And try to find the expression of the shape that you can hold for about 5 breaths. And when you come down, I want you to come down with grace and awareness. I'm not asking you to do that now. Just take a couple more breaths. And then come down slowly, peeling your spine towards the floor bit by bit by bit. And when you get there, pause. Shift your hips to the right, drop your knees to the left, and we'll take a twist. Feel free to place a block between your legs if that serves you better. Your head or your gaze fall wherever it needs to go. If you can, close your eyes. Bring it back to center. Shift the hips off to the other side. Take your twist, your twisting shape of choice. Bring it back to center. Bring your knees in towards your chest. And you can stay right here. Hands can hold on to shin bones and just apply a bit of weight. You could take happy baby for a moment, but really the intention is to release your spine a bit. So wherever that feels good. And then one leg at a time begins to extend out. Arms open up wider than the side body. Press into the back of the head, shift the shoulders down the back side of the body. And then maybe wiggle out through the tailbone, through the glutes. Find a bit more space in your thighs and your ankles. And let your eyes drop a bit heavier into their sockets. Allow for the space between the brows to release. Tangle your jaws, soften your lips. And just feel your body breathing. And the light in me bows to the light within you. Namaste.